In this video, we're going to show you how to install the power steering pump on your INFINITI G37 X located under your hood. On the passenger side here, I want to disconnect the sensor connector. I'm going to press in a little spring tab, pinch and pull this off. Sometimes these can be stuck, so while pushing in, you can use a screwdriver and just gently pry that up and off. Follow this over here to the box, and you're going to have two little tabs here. You want to pinch in on these here to release that. If you follow the harness over, you want to pinch on the two tabs on either side. I'm going to use a pair of pliers to gently pinch and pull this out. Now where the air intake tube comes down to the air filter box, you have a band clamp. You can use an 8mm socket or a flathead screwdriver to loosen the clamp. On the left-hand side, we have a 10mm bolt securing the airbox to this bracket. Loosen and remove that bolt. We can grab the air filter box. We want to gently wiggle this up and out. Separate the air intake tube. And pull this up and out and set it aside. Now you want to go ahead and repeat this for the other side. Ideally, you want to grab some sort of container and set that in here. We're going to open up our cap. You can use an extraction tool to go ahead and remove as much of that power steering fluid as possible. I can remove these components, remove our expansion tank, come up here to this little clamp. We're going to pinch this, slide this back. Now you want to be careful with these here, inspect it. If it is rusty, you want to go ahead and replace it with a regular style clamp. You don't want this to break on you. Twist this and slide this off. Now on either side you have 10mm bolts. Loosen and remove these. Set those aside. Now this hose here runs down behind the expansion tank and pops into some clips on the radiator. So as you lift up on this here, you might feel a little bit of resistance. If you look down, you'll be able to find that. Just reach down and pluck that right out. Now we have our tool here for our belt tensioner. Down below of the tensioner, you want to insert the tool into this and then push it to the left. As we do this here, you can see the ear come up and it's going to meet up with the other ear. We can actually take a 10mm bolt, insert that into it, and we can release this. Once we have that held, we can go ahead and grab the belt and we'll pull this off. Now just to the left of your power steering pump, you have the high pressure line right here. And if you follow this down, there's a pressure sensor. On the bottom is the sensor connector. So on the bottom side of it, there's going to be a little pinch tab. You're going to pinch that connector tab and pull down and pull this harness off. We have our high pressure line bolt right here. This is a 24mm. Want to go ahead and loosen this. Now, I'm not going to remove this yet. We just want to make sure that is broken free. Here's the bracket right here for the upper portion, and it comes up to a 12mm bolt. Let's go ahead and loosen this bolt. Not going to remove it, we're just going to break that free. Now we're going to use our new pump as a reference here. We just loosened the upper bolt here on this bracket. The lower bolt, you're going to gain access through it through one of the pulley holes, and it's down in here. So we're going to have to reach down on our new pump, rotate the pulley, and then get to the bolt on the inside, loosen, and remove that. So on the bottom here, we're using a 14mm socket on this lower bolt. Now at this point, what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and disconnect this high pressure hose here. We do have a catch can underneath to catch any residual fluid that should be coming out. If you want, you can also put a rag or a catch towel underneath. So I'm going to put a towel underneath and cover the alternator underneath. Remove our bolt here. We'll set that aside. Now, when removing this here, you want to notice that there is a washer on the top here, and there's a washer on the other side. Here's the bottom one here, and generally you want to replace these here when you're doing this kind of job. So go ahead and take both of those copper washers, set those aside. Okay. Now that we have our lower bolt unthreaded, we're going to leave it hanging right there. We're going to come up to the upper hose here. We want to disconnect this hose. So using a pair of pliers, let's move that clamp back. Grab some hose pliers here, give this a twist, and then slide this off. Let's loosen and remove the upper bolt from the bracket. On the top of our cooling fan assembly, there's going to be a 10mm bolt here over on the passenger side, right by the upper radiator hose, and then on the other side, just over from it. You want to go ahead and loosen and remove these here. Simply going to use a gear wrench. Once you have that bolt out, repeat for the other side. Let's go ahead and grab our fan assembly. What we're going to do is lift it up, tilt out the bottom, and then drop it down. This is going to allow us to get that bolt out of our power steering pump. There's the bolt. Now there is power steering fluid inside the pump itself, so be careful when lifting that up and out. We just used our pry bar behind the pump and the bracket itself just to loosen that. And pull that up and out. Now here we have our new pump unit. We have our upper bracket. It's going to have easy access to the upper bolt here. The lower one that we were going for is through one of the holes here in the pulley, and you can see it's on the bottom. So we're going to feed this down and in, get it lined up on the bracket on the motor itself, and then feed our bolt into that. Okay, we have our lower bolt in. Let's go ahead and get an upper bolt in place and started. I want to go ahead and do the same for the bottom bolt. Now that we have the bottom bolt bottomed out, let's go ahead and snug down the upper one. On our lower bolt, we're going to torque that to 18 foot-pounds. I'm going to torque our upper bolt to 13 foot-pounds. Let's go ahead and bring our fan back up into position. Install your upper bolts. We'll snug those down. Pop the wiring harness back into place. Anything that might have pulled out or shifted. Inspect everything, make sure everything for the fan assembly is locked in. On the pump itself, we want to go ahead and remove this plug. Just pop that out. Now here you want to go ahead and get your bolt ready. Make sure you have a fresh copper washer on the bolt end itself. Slide that through. Install another fresh copper washer on the bottom side. Line this up and start this bolt. I'm going to thread that down as far as I can by hand. Let's get and torque down the bolt here. I'm going to torque that down to 42 foot-pounds. And we have our electrical connector on the bottom here. Good, line that up. Slide that up. You're going to feel it in here, it's snapping into place. Go ahead and push it down, make sure that it is locked on. At this point here, what I like to do is go ahead and take some solvent and kind of give this a quick cleaning. We have our port cover right here. Go ahead and slide that off. Go ahead and take that hose, line that up and slide that on. Now is a prime time to go ahead and inspect this hose. Make sure it's in good condition. If it is torn or has any fraying on it or even swollen, you want to go ahead and replace this hose now. Ours is in good shape, so we're simply going to use a pair of pliers to go ahead and move that hose clamp down into position. Now with the power steering pump anchored, torqued, and our hoses all installed, let's go ahead and install our belt. So now we have our belt tensioner tool installed. I'm going to bring this up and remove our bolt. Now we're going to bring up our tensioner a little bit, and we're going to slide our belt onto the pulleys the rest of the way. And once you have your belt lined up on all of the pulleys, make sure that the belt is fully inside all of the pulleys all the way around, especially the crankshaft down below. And then you can release that tensioner. And while installing your air boxes here, you want to make sure that these two plastic studs here go into the rubber grommets on the inside of the frame rail. And we have this port here on the bottom front edge that goes onto a hose down below as well. Let's go ahead and snug that down. Install your wiring harness here. Insert the clip, electrical connector, then use your flathead screwdriver to go ahead and snug down our clamp. Let's go ahead and repeat for the other side. We're going to install our expansion tank. Now this hose here clips into a couple retainers on our cooling fan assembly. So you want to reach down and clip this into the retainers. They run right up the center of the cooling fans. Now as you lower the expansion tank down, you'll have to reach down and grab that hose, pull it down from the bottom. Now that we have our tank in place, install the two 10mm bolts. And snug those down. Just snug these down gently. You don't want to over tighten and crack the plastic on the tank. Install the expansion hose right here. Move your retainer clip into position. Go ahead and open up your reservoir cap here. Use the appropriate fluid recommended for the vehicle. If you want, you can use a funnel. I'm going to go ahead and fill that up to the cold line on the reservoir. Remove that. Go ahead and set your cap back into place. We have some fluid filled up here. You now want to hop into the vehicle before you start the vehicle. You want to go ahead and cycle the steering wheel left and right 10 complete cycles, lock to lock. What this is going to do is purge out any of the air bubbles in the system. You want to go ahead and check the fluid, make sure that it is topped off in the cold position. Then at that point there, you can go ahead and take the vehicle for a test ride. Come on back and check that fluid level one more time and top it off as needed.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.